precious toe behind those three cars.
Here comes Lewis Hamilton though, down the back straight, and is a seven-time champion of the world. Comes home to win the Sakhir Grand Prix, Sergio Perez.
Even the smaller F1 teams get to enjoy their moment in the sun. From powerhouses Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, and McLaren, to the midfield and backfielders, let's remember the most iconic moments from each team since the 2000 season. Subscribe to our channel and make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on your content. Enjoy the video. Heroic wins, thrilling championship battles, a good underdog story. Every single team on the F1 grid delivered an iconic moment at some point over the past 25 years. From Ferrari to Haas, here they are. Ferrari. Michael Schumacher ends a 21-year drought for the Scuderia. Michael Schumacher joined Ferrari in 1996 in what is still considered one of the greatest moves in the history of F1. But before the German's unmatched run of 5 consecutive titles, he had to wait 4 long years to finally lift the World Championship with Ferrari. Following a rebuilding year in 1996, Schumacher narrowly lost the title to Jacques Villeneuve in 1997. Mika Hakkinen, driving 2 Adrian Newey-designed rocket ships, scored back-to-back titles in 1998 and 1999. Entering the 2000 season, the pressure was starting to build up at Maranello. Schumacher soon showed that things were going to be different this time around, scoring 3 consecutive wins to start the year. A poor run of results in the summer put the title in jeopardy, with Hakkinen and David Coulthard closing in within 2 points. In classic Schumacher fashion, the German legend pulled off 2 second-place finishes and 2 consecutive wins to pull away again. Entering the penultimate round of the season in Japan, Schumacher held an 8-point lead and had a shot at wrapping up the title with 1 race to go. In a dramatic race, he was jumped by Hakkinen at the start, but pulled off a magical second stint to leapfrog the Finn. Schumacher crossed the line just 1.8 ahead of his title rival to win his 3rd World Championship and the first of 5 with Ferrari. The Scuderia had ended the 21-year drought, which went all the way back to Jody Scheckter in 1979. Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton's record-equaling 7th title. Hamilton delivered his best season in 2020. Driving the dominant W11, the Brit scored 11 wins, 10 poles, and 14 podiums in 16 races. The year saw Lewis set a new F1 record with 92 wins and match Michael Schumacher's 7 world championships. The title-winning race was one of Hamilton's finest drivers that season, starting down in 6th at the Turkish Grand Prix. The Mercedes driver combined some exceptional tire management with wet weather prowess to methodically climb up the order. After leapfrogging pole-sitter Lance Stroll in the 2nd pit cycle, Hamilton passed race leader Sergio Perez with 22 laps to go and went on to win by over 18 seconds. With the wet weather and the unusually slippery conditions effectively nullifying Mercedes' pace advantage, Hamilton had just pulled off one of his best drives in F1, quite fitting for a record-tying day. Red Bull. Max Verstappen's dramatic first title. The start of Red Bull's 2nd dynasty was a dramatic one. In one of the most fierce and intense title battles in F1 history, Verstappen and title rival Hamilton entered the Abu Dhabi final tied on points. With Mercedes having overtaken Red Bull in the development race, the Dutchman would need a masterful drive to win the title. Verstappen scored a superb pole in qualifying, but was passed by Hamilton at the start of the race. Despite a heroic drive by Sergio Perez to hold the Brit off, Verstappen was unable to pass his title rival and looked set to finish a heartbreaking 2nd, having led the standings for most of the season. But it all changed with 5 laps to go, when Nicolas Latifi crashed and brought out a safety car. Mercedes opted to maintain its track position, prompting Verstappen and Red Bull to bolt in a new set of softs. Following the controversial decision by race director Michael Massey to only wave by the lapped cars between the 2 title rivals, the race was restarted with 1 lap to go. Verstappen went for a late lunge into turn 5 and took the lead. After defending from Hamilton's attacks into turns 6 and 9, the Dutchman pulled away to win the first of his 4 consecutive titles. McLaren. Lewis Hamilton wins his first title on the final corner of the final lap. As far as dramatic title deciders go, the 2008 final probably remains unbeaten. Having narrowly lost the title following a series of mistakes in 2007, Hamilton was keen to avoid a repeat in 2008. The McLaren driver arrived at Interlagos holding a nearly unassailable 7-point lead. With only 10 points up for grabs, Hamilton needed to finish 6th, since Massa held the advantage on the countback. After qualifying 4th, Hamilton ran a relatively trouble-free race, but the situation changed dramatically with 8 laps to go when the track was hit by a light rain shower. Forced to pit for intermediates, Hamilton dropped to 5th, falling behind Timo Glock, who had decided to stay out on dry tires. With 2 laps to go, Hamilton had trouble getting by the lap BMW of Robert Kubica and ran wide at Junso, opening the door for rookie sensation Sebastian Vettel to get by. In the span of 5 laps, the McLaren driver had gone from champion-elect to runner-up. Hamilton tried everything in his power to get by Vettel, to no avail. Massa crossed the line to win the race, just as the rain picked up. And just when Hamilton and Vettel arrived at Junso, the pair ran into a struggling Glock, who was fighting just to stay on the track. Hamilton got by the Toyota to move into 5th, stealing the championship lead back on the final corner of the season to seal his maiden title. The ghosts from 2007 had finally been put to bed. Williams. Pastor Maldonado holds off Fernando Alonso to win in Barcelona. During the early 2000s, Williams emerged as one of the few teams capable of challenging Ferrari. However, the team's BMW engines often struggled with reliability, and Williams ultimately found itself out of the title fights. Once BMW left at the end of 2005 to start its own team, Williams endured a poor run of results. Having lost its factory backing, the team had to look for pay drivers and signed the controversial Venezuelan Pastor Maldonado. While Maldonado had shown plenty of speed in junior single-seaters, underlined by his 2010 GP2 title, he was also crash-prone and extremely inconsistent. But on a good day, the Venezuelan often looked unbeatable, and that perfect storm happened at the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix. Maldonado delivered a brilliant qualifying performance, leading Q2 and then scoring a surprising second in Q3. Following Hamilton's disqualification from pole, the Venezuelan was promoted to the top spot. Maldonado was passed by home hero Fernando Alonso off the line, but leapfrogged the Spaniard during the second pit stop cycle. Following a slow final pit stop, Maldonado found himself having to fend off Alonso's attacks during the final stint. Managing his tires to perfection, the Venezuelan crossed the line 3 seconds ahead of the 2-time champion, pulling off one of the greatest upsets in F1 history and ending an 8-year winless drought for Williams. Aston Martin. Sergio Perez's Sakhir Grand Prix win. Having started out as the fan-favorite Jordan Grand Prix, the Silverstone-based squad changed hands several times these past 25 years. When Jordan folded at the end of 2005, the team was taken over by Russian Operation Midland, which then sold the team to Dutch carmaker Spyker for 2007. In 2008, Spyker was acquired by Force India, which then rebranded into Racing Point for 2019, before finally rebranding into Aston Martin for 2021. In 2020, in its final year as Racing Point, the Silverstone squad pulled off its first win since Jordan's triumph at Interlagos in 2003. And much like that race, Perez's maiden win was a dramatic one. After getting hit by Charles Leclerc on the opening lap, Perez dropped down to 18th and last among the runners. After climbing back up to 9th, the Mexican driver benefited from a virtual safety car to move up to 3rd, having chosen not to pit for tires. Following a massive pit stop blunder by Mercedes, Perez found himself leading the race. He had to fend off Mercedes super sub George Russell, following a restart with 18 laps to go, and pulled away once Russell was forced to pit with a puncture. In the end, Perez crossed the line with a 10-second gap over runner-up Esteban Ocon, securing his first win after 190 starts, a new F1 record. Racing Bulls. Sebastian Vettel's maiden F1 win. The Faenza-based team started its F1 journey as the iconic fan-favorite Minardi, which is widely regarded as one of the worst teams to ever race in Formula One. Minardi was acquired by Red Bull in 2006 and rebranded into Toro Rosso, the junior team for the Austrian squad. Toro Rosso found itself in a good position in 2008, running what was effectively the same car as its parent team, only with a different name. The Adrian Newey designed chassis turned out to be a very good contender. But while Red Bull's RB4 struggled with a Renault engine, Toro Rosso's STR3 was powered by a Ferrari unit. Arriving at Monza for the team's home race, rookie sensation Sebastian Vettel pulled off an amazing pole position in the wet on Saturday, becoming F1's youngest ever pole sitter in the process. Conditions were even worse on Sunday, and the German youngster drove like a veteran. Vettel led 49 of the 53 laps to win by over 12 seconds from Heikki Kovalainen. At 21 years and 73 days, the German became F1's youngest race winner, driving for the team that carried Minardi's legacy. Solver, Robert Kubica's Canada redemption. The Swiss team was a sports car powerhouse under Mercedes, fielding names like Michael Schumacher, Jochen Mass, and Mauro Baldi. After a successful run in prototypes, Sauber decided to join F1 in 1993. Having spent most of its time as a midfield team that acted as a stepping stone for rising talent, Sauber gained its big chance in 2006 when it was chosen by BMW as its partner. Running under the BMW Sauber moniker, the team finished second in the constructors' standings in 2007, following McLaren's disqualification. Entering 2008 as an outside title contender, Sauber found itself actually challenging for the championship with Robert Kubica, and the team's big moment came in Canada, the exact same track where the pole had suffered a massive crash the year before. Benefiting from a major error by Lewis Hamilton, who took both himself and Kimi Räikkönen out of the race, Sauber emerged from the pits, holding the top two spots. The team then swapped Nick Heidfeld and Kubica around, with the pole scoring his and Sauber's first ever F1 win, a 1-2 debut. As the cherry on top, Kubica also took over the lead of the championship. Haas, points on debut. The Gene Haas-owned team joined F1 in 2016, becoming the first American team since. Haas, the namesake team, run by legendary CART team owner Carl Haas, competed in F1 for 2 seasons between 1985 and 1986, scoring 6 points. Carl and Gene aren't related, despite sharing the same surname. Haas' debut at the Australian Grand Prix was a mixed bag. Esteban Gutierrez suffered a brutal crash with Fernando Alonso early on in the race, but the more experienced Romain Grosjean skillfully navigated the classic Melbourne chaos to cross the line 6, helping Haas to score 8 points in its first start. The result was even more impressive considering that Grosjean had started all the way back in 19th. Alpine, Fernando Alonso's first title. The Estone-based, Renault-owned team has been around since 1981, having undergone several name changes. Toleman, Benetton, Renault, Lotus, and finally Alpine. After taking Schumacher to back-to-back championships in the 90s as Benetton, the Enstone squad was acquired by Renault in 2002. The French team, led by Flavio Briatore, promoted the Italian's protege, a young Spaniard called Fernando Alonso, to its second seat in 2003. Alonso soon became a star, and the French team took advantage of a major shift in regulations for 2005 to mount a title challenge. Alonso and Renault prevailed over Kimi Räikkönen and McLaren in a tight fight for the championship. Taking advantage of McLaren's reliability issues, Alonso sealed the title with 2 races to go at Interlagos. At the age of 24 and 58 days, the Spaniard broke a 33-year record to become F1's youngest ever champion. These are the most iconic moments since 2000 for all the current F1 teams. Do you remember other famous moments from each one of them? Share them with us down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.